Hey.
Hey, it's Gus and Ashley. Okay.
What? What do you need?
Right step.
Oh my gosh. I
There
was
we go.
trying to,
Okay.
hi. Happy Thursday.
Hey, it's Ashley and Gus, the
Woo!
event producers, where we give you behind the scenes look at what it's like to produce an event.
Exactly. And recently, last week, we had the pleasure of attending, not producing, but attending a 5,000 person production.
It was a big production.
Whew.
I'll start off saying I've not produced something that complex, though I've done events with more people. I've done events with up to 20,000 people,
Right.
5,000 people. How complex this event was for a single room event. All the attendees for most part, experience the same thing.
Yeah.
It was a pretty complex event.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but it was amazing. I mean, do we want to tell them what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Conference, and it was in Hollandale Beach, Florida, at the Diplomat. And yeah, it was incredible. I mean, the event itself, as far as the content, was amazing. We saw incredible speakers. We had just amazing experiences. The parties were off the chain. They were awesome. But as event producers, of course, we experience it maybe with a slightly different filter,
different glasses, different lenses on as we look at it.
So, we were like, "Oh, look at that," or "Oh, look at that," or "Oh my God, that," or "Oh my God, that."
We were opening behind the scenes doors and checking out the productions.
Yeah, we were those people who stick their heads in, going like, "Oh wow, look at all that! Oh, look at all that!" So we thought we'd tell you a couple of cool things that we saw.
You walk into an event that size. If you've been to an event that size, you walk in and you're like, yeah, it's an event. Yeah, this is going on and that's going on. Everything. You don't understand what it takes.
Yeah, we know what it's like to do all of this stuff on the back end. And so from that perspective, we were pretty impressed.
Yeah, first of all, there's planning.
There's
planning. And I'm sure some of the guests there have been in planning for more than a year. For multiple years.
Definitely. I would also say the budget, this is like, for event people, this is like being an architect and having a client who says whatever it costs.
I'm not so sure they did that.
Really?
They had a budget, but it was still it was over $10 million.
Well, and they talked about it, and they spent the dough, and it was beautiful. I mean, I won't say it was flawless, but I gotta say there isn't a whole lot that I can point to and say, oh, that wasn't so great.
Even small events are not flawless.
It was really there's always something that happens.
There's always something
goes sideways. Yeah.
So
anyway, we thought we'd give you some of the highlights.
First of all, take the planning and just whatever you would think it would take to plan a 5,000 person event. This was an evening. Started on Monday evening with a registration, a cocktail reception.
Yes.
A breakfast, all day of presentations, a party with Busta Rhymes night number 1. Number 2, day 2, breakfast, all day sessions, talking celebrity speakers, all day sessions.
Pretty.
2 parties, separate parties, one for about 1,000 people and one for about 3,000 people. Day 3.
Yes, breakfasts in the morning. I mean, obviously, but in separate rooms. Then the session started in the general session room,
and then all day till 4:30.
They had cocktail receptions.
Two cocktail receptions going at the same time,
right?
And then Friday they had an event. We didn't go to that event. They had another event Friday.
They had it was a separate event from the event, but it was related. So in the same hotel.
In the scope of things. Yeah. So let's just talk the planning. If you've gotten married before, you've planned a birthday party, it's the same thing, but for 5,000 people and celebrity people. There are so many logistics that go on. I was told it was 600 people in the building of the event. 600 workers.
Oh, really?
Oh,
my gosh.
We saw. We were there. They were building one stage.
We came a couple days early just to get a little relaxation and sun. Because it was in Hollandale Beach, Florida. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So we came down a little early just to chill. And, we were watching the trucks roll in. And we're like, oh, I bet I know what that is.
Yeah.
And, we were kind of having fun spotting cranes.
I'll get through. So
go ahead.
Besides the event happening, they do the planning. Just take the planning out of the equation. They had to promote it. And they spent a year promoting this event. So the big promotion of the event.
They didn't announce the dates until
wow. But then they had let's just take the hotel. The hotel only holds 1,000. Had like 1,100 rooms.
Okay.
There were 5,000 guests.
Right.
Let's just say
they weren't all couples.
two to a room or whatever.
Right.
There's still the hotel. There were other hotels there. Hotels need a special reservation system, which we used.
Yes.
Final day of the event, everybody's checking out of their rooms. They had to make special accommodations for the luggage.
Yes.
What do you call it?
You mean to check the luggage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check luggage.
With the
it was piled all over
the
place.
bellman. Oh yeah, it was nuts. Well, I just want to take a second. I don't mean to interrupt, but one of our viewers did just point out to us that today is Global Meetings Industry Day. So happy Global Meetings Industry Day to all of you, and how perfect that we're doing this live right now.
How about that?
Talking about event production of a 5,000 person production.
There are much larger events. But this was
one that we went to, and we're giving you our notes while they're still fresh in our minds. So thank you.
The hotel also there was Arnold Schwarzenegger was there. Just to clear, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Tyson. I am sure they didn't stay at that hotel. They have places down there.
Yeah,
but
they were secure. I mean, they had to have probably.
There were other VIPs there that stayed at the hotel.
Yeah, no,
definitely. VIP accommodations.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even try to get an upgrade to a suite.
So. Here's what they had as far as venue spaces go. This is just a raw space.
Bring it.
They took the main ballroom that had 5,000 people in it.
Yeah.
They had 3 smaller ballrooms that they used for
breakfasts,
meetings, side meetings, breakfast, and lunch.
Right. And and then there were other. Well, one of the breakfast rooms was sort of breakfast in the morning, and then it was sort of a cocktail
at night.
Reception.
Each one of these rooms. We won't talk about the main ballroom yet, but each one of the other breakfast rooms had full staging, full lighting, full cameras.
Yeah.
Easily a $50,000 a day. Easily a $50,000 a day build out.
Easily. And that was, wow.
They had 2 outdoor stages.
Right.
A party for Busta Rhymes and a party for
Wyclef Jean.
Wyclef Jean.
I'm saying his name.
2 separate party venues.
Yes, one was by the pool, much smaller venue, and then the other one was over on the landing, which was what made that space just totally.
Both those parties,
there
was decking. Besides having staging, besides having a concert venue set up, besides the food and the drink, they had a deck pools and fountains.
Right, that's right. There was a thing
LED walls.
Yeah, it was really cool. Great food.
They did outdoor lunch. They did outdoor lunch for 1,500 people each day.
Right.
That was the executives.
Okay.
They had green rooms, multiple green rooms. We're talking celebrities, multiple green rooms. They had a VIP staff lounge.
Okay, right.
A regular staff lounge.
Oh, I didn't know there was a VIP one and
a
regular. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Gus knows all this.
Yeah, I just noticed all this stuff. I'm sure I'm missing something here. But that was just the venue spaces.
So that was it from a layout perspective. So
then in the spaces,
was similar to going to a trade show, except all of the booths were theirs. They didn't have like outside vendors come in. Everybody was connected to their business. So it was actually a pretty cohesive little strip mall of space. Like the merch store was right next to, it was well, that whole thing, it was just really well put together. But I'm sure they had to get the pipe and drape for that. And yeah.
We're going to talk to tech.
Yeah.
I lost count of the trusses. So trusses are what they use to raise the lighting. The lighting, in the main ballroom, they had 2 main screens up front. Then they had 4 sets of screens that hung down.
Yeah.
That people could
it was
view.
Literally like, I was watching we weren't that far back, but it was just like, it's easier to just watch the Jumbotron. Right?
The Jumbotron, well, they had the entire wall at the front of the room was a LED screen.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
LED wall.
Just beautiful.
LED wall on a 5-foot stage.
Yeah. Super high res. There was nothing. It was nice.
They had,
for people who can't see very well, I really appreciate
trusses on the ceiling. On the trusses were the lighting gobos. Gobos are go before object. So they basically, that's where they project an image onto the wall. They had lasers. We saw lasers.
Had some pyrotechnics there.
Pyrotechnics. They had cool. They
up.
call them cool spark machines.
Oh, I'm so
cool spark machines.
He did it somewhere.
Well, I want one of these.
Oh,
I want an event where I have a cool spark machine.
Me too.
Yeah. So then they also had on there where they were hanging the screens from the ceiling.
Right.
These are probably 50-foot ceilings, and they were hanging.
It's a big ballroom.
Oh, it's a huge ballroom, and they were hanging. What was the other thing they were hanging? Oh, the projectors.
Mm.
Dual projectors. Each screen requiring dual projectors. Sound speakers.
Yeah.
Multiple sets of lights.
I think Gus said it well. We were probably we were probably a third of the way back from the front of the room, the stage, and I mean, I'm sure that most of the people who were there had a similarly awesome experience. They numbered each of the chairs.
Well, here's one of the things.
Here's one of the things. Like tag on it with its.
That was one of the small glitches we had, though.
It was minor.
Minor. They didn't have. They missed a row.
They had stickers on the floor of which row you were, and then they had a tag like similar to one of those sort of sticky tags that you get at the baggage, like a baggage claim thing, and it was like on each chair.
About 3,500.
So you knew exactly. I mean, if you had assigned seating, so the whole 5,000 were not. Assigned like that, but if you were in the first couple of tiers, you were able to.
You had assigned seating.
You were able to do that, which we did, which was nice.
Plus, on the tech side, on top of everything else, they broadcast it live to 28,000 people.
Right. Now they made the event complimentary via Zoom, and
that requires multiple Zoom feeds.
It does.
And it requires people monitoring their Zoom feeds.
It does. So you have to have. You can only have a certain amount on one feed, and each of those feeds would need a moderator to make sure everybody's behaving themselves in the chat and answering any questions, and which is cool. But yeah, and then from the virtual, we understand from somebody who we know who was watching virtually, they had a whole separate, like somebody hosting and announcing, and then when the speaker came off the stage, they would do kind of a
Q&A with the speaker.
Q&A with the speaker before the next speaker came on. So that was stuff we didn't even get to see.
And then
it was cool.
Another consideration: the staffing for the event.
Oh my gosh! Any idea how many people they had?
Grant said 600. Yeah, I mean that's probably about right.
Yeah.
Probably, and that's not even the hotel staff.
Well, I mean, some of the staff were not necessarily event staff. Some of them were like selling merch or selling products and services and just kind of do, part of their company. And then the other, well, I mean, they had the security when we first walked in.
That's third-party security.
Third-party security from just going in. We had to go through security every single time we went in and out.
They had temporary workers.
We tried to do that not very often. They had folks who were helping guide people to their seats, encouraging people to sit down.
And what we didn't see,
managing
what we
traffic.
didn't see, and we know we're there.
Yeah,
they had talent security.
They had to.
Yeah,
had to.
I'm sure the security had their own. I'm sure the talent had their own security, but then the venue or Grant's team would also have security. There'd be two teams of security for the talent.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
So there was that. So talent handlers, yes, temporary help. What else you got there?
They did 4 separate lunches each day.
Yeah. So they had one for Diamond, one for Premier, one for
VIP, and then the executives were on their own, but they still had to feed them.
Executives were on their own, but they had an area set up so
that was the
outdoor seating.
That was the
box lunches.
They were the VIP. And then the executives had a separate where they purchased and could eat.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Serving everybody lunch in about an hour and a half. That's big. We've learned by working with venues.
And they were plated lunches. Last year they were buffet.
We had a lower grade ticket last year.
That is true. We upgraded this time. But it was nice to just... From a traffic standpoint and a getting around people standpoint, it was much easier to just plop down and be served rather than worry about, grabbing food and I don't know.
Anyway, but again, I mean, we've learned at these big hotels, a plate at lunch or a buffet lunch, about 5,000, 6,000 people in an hour is about max. We've been to Vegas where we were part of a.
We were VIPs last year.
Different event. We were at a different event that had about 10,000 people on it, and then there was another event there that had about 6,000 or 8,000 people on it, maybe more. And then the venue itself, which is Mandalay Bay, probably has 1,000, 2,000 people just running around for lunch.
Yeah.
They couldn't feed everybody at lunch.
Yeah. No, we tried the first couple of days, and there was another convention happening like right next to us, and it was just mobbed.
Yeah.
You couldn't get food.
And then a big part of this whole thing also of this event is the talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike Tyson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tim Grover, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Getting those guys, getting those contracts in place, coordinating their schedules.
Yes.
Well, what time? We're running an event. We're working with people right now.
What time is he going to be?
What time we're going to be on? Well, they need to be here. They have to fly in at this time, and this has to happen.
They probably had, I'm sure, designated parking, or limousine. Probably easier to set up limousine. We'll just pick you up at the airport, or we'll pick you up from wherever and bring you here.
They send a car, whatever.
Sure exactly. But to make sure everything's coordinated on time.
That was all the Rolls Royces that were out front.
I get it.
That were out front.
Yes, and the bulletproof.
The bulletproof Hummers.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, it's just a massive undertaking, and then all the key people on Cardone's staff spoke.
Right.
So they all had to, besides being part of the planning of all this, they also had
They'd have their decks ready. They had to have
just like everybody else.
Yeah, just like everybody else.
Had to have their decks ready.
I mean, what was interesting is most of the talent, other than a couple like John Maxwell, Tim Grover, were solo presentations. Yeah. Almost every other presentation with a speaker was done interview style, which I think it's fun. It's engaging. It's a different level of engagement. And it was terrific, but again, it's sort of a different, and it's nice to have a different pace for something like that. Go ahead. I have some other things that I want to talk about.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Good.
Well, I mean, I'll just say this as an attendee of this event. So what's fun for Gus and me is that when we, when we run our events, we are running our events. We're up early. We're on stage all day. We go to bed late, and then we're,
back at it the next day.
Crack of dawn the next day and hitting it.
Our next event is 4 days like that. Right.
We're going to have 2 conferences back to back, which makes that second afternoon of each conference just okay. But I mean, as an attendee, some of the things that I noticed, like those little things that probably most people don't notice, were cool. So, I mean, first off, we got in a little early, and so it was kind of fun for us to watch people sort of trickle in because everybody was wearing their 10X gear and their t-shirts and stuff like that. And, we'd spark conversation and talk to folks and meet people informally. They had things like they put 10X Growth Conference pillows in the lobby.
They branded the whole.
It was perfect, but it was just kind of like, oh, what a neat touch.
That. Signage.
That's it. It was a fun touch. Everybody was trying to steal the pillows. I think by the end, I personally almost did, but I just to even have my photo, with the pillow was just fun, or to meet other people. Yeah, that one is. It's so check it out, me with my 10X pillow. I promise I didn't bring it home, but next year I'm going to probably take one. The badges that we had a QR code on it.
Oh, that was slick.
It was super slick. So Gus and I, before we came to the conference, we were like, do we want to drag all of our business cards with us, or do we want to be those young hip kids who have a QR code? So Gus created QR codes for us for our phones. But then when we got there and they were, when we were checking in, they were doing this thing with it. And I'm like, wow, we have individually, this is our badge.
When they scanned the QR code, because we did an event like this.
Yeah.
We did it with barcodes. We didn't do it with QR codes.
The old days.
When they scanned the QR code, they attached that badge to your name.
To your name. Ticket. And had your seat number on it. So if you were like, wait, I don't even remember what my seat was, you could scan your own badge and see where you were going. I was just like,
This is interesting because this is mostly entrepreneurs and real estate investors who attend this conference.
Right, not event people like us.
But we all, when we put my business hat on, I show up usually not as planned as I should be.
Absolutely. No, I was in line trying to, where are our seats?
Where's our
stuff?
You don't even know this. I wrote an article on how to prepare for an event today. Yeah,
okay,
I wrote a blog post. It's going to be an email tomorrow. So anyway.
But anyway, that was something that I thought was really cool. Go ahead.
No.
I was going to just bring up a couple of other things, if that's okay with you. Are we in a crunch for time?
No.
Okay. What was something else? They had excellent directional signs. So one thing that helped, we were at this same location 2 years ago when they ran the conference there. It was just much easier to navigate where the space was and what was happening in what space. So that was really
the hotel.
Impressive.
I'll give kudos to the
absolutely
well
done Hilton.
Hotel.
2 years ago, I don't think it was at Hilton.
It was not. It was not as well put together from a hotel standpoint. The event was fine. From a hotel standpoint,
absolutely. There was like nowhere to eat. There was no food. It was lines everywhere. It was ugly.
We stay in a lot of hotels. We do events in a lot of hotels. We understand the pain points of hotels, or we understand how it should be or how it could be.
Right. So with this time, what was different for us was we actually stayed at the conference hotel. Last time we didn't because I got in too late, which is why I booked it so early. I booked it in November, and it was wonderful. It was a great room. Well designed, well kept. These are things that I notice and care about. So and then what were some of the other things? I mean, they had a separate area for Diamond folks.
Yeah,
Diamond Lounge.
Diamond Lounge.
I would have loved to tell you what it was like, but I didn't get to go in. So because they were checking badges and they were pretty good about that. What were some of the other things that we thought like, ooh, that was a nice touch? But anyway, that was just
from an event production standpoint. It was. There are bigger event productions that go on out there.
This one was tight.
This one was tight. Had a lot of moving parts. Here's the thing with that event. It's not like a trade show.
Right.
You're not free to.
You're not floating around.
You're free to do whatever you want to do because obviously you're free, but
the action.
You're missing stuff. The action's in the room,
and
every moment is planned for the whole day. There's no downtime, and this brings us to a thing that obviously we didn't have privy to, but there's a run of show. In fact, you saw when we were out front of the hotel the first day, we saw the guy with the BEOs.
Oh, I did. He had a binder.
He had a 2-inch binder.
Yeah. Which sometimes the hotel
that could have been day one. That could have just been day one.
So the BEO. For event people, we know it's the banquet event order, and that's really like, here's exactly what's going on from the hotel's perspective. And it's like that we understand what time things are happening, when you're taking breaks, what needs to be in the room, how the room needs to be set up, like everything. And what always used to crack me up is that the hotel would send me the BEOs. I'd look them over, I'd make changes to them, and then we'd send them back. And then it's like, okay. And then usually the hotel has a meeting, especially for something as large as this event.
They had multiple meetings for this event.
They had multiple meetings to be able to say, okay, just because they need to go over it with their staff. They need to go over it with everybody.
And the staff was fantastic.
I can guarantee you that there were several times that the Hilton folks had to sit down together and say, okay, this is what day one is going to look like. This is what has to happen. This is day 2. This is day 3. And this is day 4. And this is what the parties are like. And, just to make sure that people feel welcome there. And then it's nice, too, for the staff to know what's going on.
And what's interesting with the staff, because I don't know that you've done this, but I did do this. I worked for a catering company where we served some big parties.
I worked for a hotel and the catering. It wasn't a lifelong. I was doing it for a long time.
So when you're sitting there for dinner and you have tabletops at 10, usually 8 or 10, an individual person on the floor can only do so much work.
Exactly.
You can only carry so many plates. You can only service so many people. You can only
clear so many plates. You're also trying to manage managing one table at a time.
They're probably managing 4 tables.
Right, but you're trying to manage the timing of each of the tables so that everybody's getting.
So you almost have this.
Progressing.
You almost have this tunnel vision.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'll stop.
There's you almost have this
tunnel
vision of 4 tables that you're working on. And then you have banquet captains.
Yes.
And the banquet captains are monitoring, make sure that everything be taken care of. And they might pull one person from another. But the reality is, each one, they're so zoned in for that. When they're serving lunch for an hour and a half, they're laser focused.
The zone, man. They're in the zone.
Yeah.
And they did a great job. They were so friendly. Incredibly friendly. One of the things that you heard on our way back from the party at the landing there were a couple of I think staff from the hotel who were working their way across the street to go back to the hotel. And you heard them say something like, every year it's better every year, or they do such a great job, or And then this was the hotel staff saying, boy, we really like this group. And I think that's testament to so much.
It's a bunch of business owners that can afford. If you're going to that, then you probably dropped $5,000 to get there,
right?
Minimally, and so each individual person, so
pretty respectful.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
No one's getting
stupid.
No one's getting ugly drunk there.
No fights.
No fights
that I know of. I mean, there was at the other party there were people in the pool.
Well, that was Grant and Wycliffe.
Well, there you go.
I saw him dancing.
There were people in the pool.
There were people in the pool at the other party.
Hosts.
So anyway, in the pool at the other party if that was the opportunity.
Probably we would have been in the fountain, which is probably why they covered it.
That was cool.
It was cool.
That was cool.
You were like, "There's a fountain here," and I'm like, "I don't remember that." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, there was a fountain."
They decked the fountain.
They put about a
5-foot riser.
This way they probably don't have people falling over it either.
They put about a 5-foot riser, and where the actual fountain was in the middle, which was probably about 20 feet by 20 feet, they put video screens. They made a square video screen. I probably have video on my.
Of me dancing in front of it.
I have video of you dancing on it and the other people, but
it was fun.
And that was where Busta Rhymes was playing. Also neat with that venue too.
What?
When we were outside, there's a stage, and the stage is right on the water. It's right on the intercoastal. The venue floor slopes to the stage. Ever so slightly, so probably about like 4 or 5 foot riser,
like an auditorium.
Yeah, almost like an auditorium, but it's outside.
Right, it's not that much of a slope, but it's just enough so that you don't feel.
I don't really slick.
You don't feel like he's way up there and you can't see him.
Right.
And at some point,
we didn't even talk about this. Then you have all those stages and all those entertainers. Contracts, liability contracts,
the writers and
the brown M&Ms. We've talked about the brown M&Ms before.
Yeah, you don't want Busta Rhymes to fall down.
Yeah, but all that stuff.
You don't want Busta Rhymes to bust a nail.
He was great.
He was amazing. That guy is so fast. He could rap so fast. Anyway, I was just like, oh man, this is great. I know every song. It was a terrific event, and as the event nerds. It was that much better. I mean, we really appreciated.
I mean, even those outdoor,
all of those little touches that went into making that event just that much.
Those
better.
Outdoor
stages.
Shout
out to Jared and the team at the 10X. Anybody who was involved with the 10X Growth Conference, really, just well done.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next week with our special guest.
Right.
Tuesday,
I thought.